Hi everyone and welcome to the fitting video for the Ford Transit 2025 double swivel base. You will receive this to your home looking like this, all assembled. What you will need to do, first job, obviously fitting kit. There's 4 bolts in here, M12 by 120mm and 110mm, some oversized washers. Take the floor lock knobs off. Just like that. Take the M12 nut off, washer, retaining plate, and then plastic swivel plate that goes on there. This end will lift off, just like that. Put that to one side. This is what we're going to be fitting to the bottom of the seat when we've done the modifications. Obviously this one's been for testing. Doesn't look brand new, so it isn't brand new. Yours will be nice and shiny and clean. This will be the full unit we're putting into your vehicle. No need to take anything else off. We're going to move into the vehicle now and get the front seat out, and then come back to this, pick it up and drop it in. The way that we've made it, it drops in beautifully, sits where it needs to sit, and then you just fit the 4 bolts in here, which I'll show you in the vehicle after we've removed the seat. Right everyone, thanks for joining us back inside this brand new Ford Transit 2025. First thing is, flick your front seat up, like that. This will display the bolts, nuts and stud we're going to be removing. So first thing is, we've unclipped the plastic retaining clips. One was in there, one was out the back, just to hold the module in for your seat centers. Very easy, this just clips out like that. That'll come out. Wiring loom is then loose. There's a fixing here, and then one just here. So that's out the way. First thing we want to move on to is these Torx bolts. To remove them using a T55. We've already slackened these off, but make sure you get a good angle. These can round off easily, so make sure you're nice and straight up. Obviously once you've broke it off, I'd use a breaker bar just to crack it off, and then obviously wind it out nice and steady. This is a 19mm nut. That comes off. You then need to remove the stud, which is an E11. One of them. That sits on the top of the stud, just like that. That will then come out. We don't need the stud because them bolts that I've just been talking about, them 4 bolts. I'll have to double check because I can't remember. I believe the 120s go to the front of the vehicle, the 110s go to the rear, but we're going to check that out in a little bit later. Remove the 3 bolts. We'll not be reusing these. And that is it. That seat now is ready to lift up and come straight out. Easiest seat to remove out of, we've removed here. We've removed quite a few seats. This one, within minutes, it can be out of the vehicle. The best way to remove it is to lift it up. There is a locating stud on this corner, so it'll not just jump back. You're going to have to lift it up about 6 inches. Take it out to the rear of the vehicle and out the side door. When you come back into us, we will have brought in that base swivel. Not put on yet, but we're going to put it into the back of the vehicle, and I'm going to talk about the cutouts and what that base has got to miss, because the floor is on a taper and got some lumps and bumps in it. So we're going to now shoot off, lift this off, get it out of the way, come back to an empty space. Right everyone, bottom swivel is now here. As you can see, if I just put this down nicely, some black bungs there, and then to the front of the vehicle. It will only fit one way. So, wiring loom. We're not going to do it, but this would tuck under the carpet. Loads of space here. We're just going to put it over there for now. Tools we've just used, and the bolts we no longer need. Move them there. Talk about the floor. Tapers backwards. Wiring loom to void. There's a bit of a subframe underneath here, metal plate, up and down again, and then obviously up and down. That's what all these cutouts have been made for. And this will fit in there just like that. It can't really go anywhere else. There might be a little bit of wiggle room, but that will sit where it needs to sit. Next stage is I'm going to grab the fitting kit, talk through them different bolt lengths and get it bolted in. Fitting kit, here we are. Very simple. Couple of washers. So the washers will slide underneath this gap here. Don't have to move anything about or do anything like that, just slide under. Now, obviously, smaller ones go at the front. That's the least taper. So the 100 mil, which is them ones, 20 mil difference. They'll go at the front of the vehicle. We'll get them lined up. Start them off with your hand. Get them hand tight. Drop your washer. Let's have a look at that one. Push that in there. Get that one in. 19mm socket. That started off nicely. That one's off nicely. Like I say, just in between the two plates, slide it in, drop it down. Going into them original fixings we just took these bolts out of. Last one. These don't have to be mega tight. You can hear a change in the tone. That is that fitted. Right, that is the easy part, unfortunately. Flew through that. That is the easiest part of the job. Except for when we come and put the seat back on that thread. This is where it gets technical. So you're going to need an angle grinder, a decent square, straight edge, ideally a paint pen or a chalk pen to mark off, because now we're going to chop the legs off the bottom of the seat. Measure twice, cut once. Right, we're back in the workshop now. We have got the top plate. We're going to remove these legs, or leg braces, and I'll show you where they're going to go in a minute. So these are just bolted on M10 bolts. So you're going to need 17mm socket, 17mm spanner. Couple of things to remember, we'll make it easy for you. This little notch points to the front of the vehicle, hole to hole, slot to slot. If you get that wrong, unfortunately I can't help you. Can't help yourself neither, I can't get this off. Still on a bit too much. Never mind. Put that there. Bit wheat today, I haven't had my Weetabix. Other cereals are available. Right, I have mocked up roughly where we're going to be cutting off, because this is obviously important. Measure twice, cut once. Our base that we've put there rises up around about 85mm. So ideally we want to take 85mm off the length of these legs. So the seat technically sits lower, or at its original height. So you're not going to lose any head height. Now I've measured a roughly 85mm from the front and the back. Now if you see here, there's a pin. That's a location pin, so back in the factory, a robot would have swung this round and dropped it in, so it helps that obviously locate it in the vehicle. but that is how it would sit in the vehicle. So you can see here, obviously it slopes up, and on the base that we've installed in the vehicle, that's why it has got that taper on it. What we want to do now, because we've got our base tapered, but the top part's near enough level, we want to cut the seat level so it sits level on the swivel. So we've marked 85mm from bottom to top. We've clamped this on, and what I've done is just got the grinder and I've just sort of put 2 lines or 3 lines in here to mark it. Double check that the bubble's in the middle on here. What you will see as well, because the seat does need to sit back, so I want this slightly off just to give you an angle still. So yeah, so the key measurement that will come across is going to be 85mm up. Get your mark lines in. I will remove this now and just show you a couple of other lines. So these paint pen marks here is where the original plastics fit. There is a bit that comes down here. I don't want to be trimming off any of this. I want this to be pretty much flush with a couple of mil gap on the swivel. I don't want to be touching any of this. We might have to just shave that little bit off there, but on the other side you can see here that would sit in there. So what we're going to go for is a nice clean line along there, and it'll sit nice and flush. So now the big job is preparing the seat, getting the cover over it, keeping all this safe, and chopping the legs off. Obviously once we've done that we can't go back. Welcome back everyone, PPE's on, keep it nice and safe. As you can see from where we stopped last time, we've just put these little marks in. This is where we're going to be coming along and chopping off. Moving to the other side. We've got everything lined up here and level. You'd have thought Ford would have put everything sort of in the same place. There's a lot of differences on this side to that side. We don't want to be hitting the weld that's behind here. So when we're chopping this off, it's got to be below the weld. So we've used a bit of 40x20 box section in line with this support gusset in here that's welded onto the leg. 40mm, that is going to give you the 85 down. Obviously we've then got the angle grinder and just cut along there. If I take this off now, got one line, and then a line just below that weld. We do not want to be cutting above this support. Doesn't really do much, but it's going to keep these legs in line. We don't want to be cutting anything into there. This bar you would have thought would be jigged from the factory, and the chances are it is, but this will be in different positions on different seats. Not by much, by only a few mil, but don't take my 85mm measurement for granted. Make sure you get 85 on here, see where it lands along here, where you're level on. If it's level, great, and it's below the weld. If not, you are going to have to drop this down a few mil to get it level under the weld. Before we start cutting, obviously measure twice, cut once. I'm happy with where everything is. We're all going to chop these legs off now, there's no going back. Right everyone, we're back, we've chopped the legs off, we've dressed all this, just so it's nice and smooth, no sharp edges. Next thing is we're just going to get a bit of black spray, seal up all the grinding marks, just give it a bit of protection. We have also taken these parts out, which are located just in here. I'll tell you why in a minute. Go on the foot for this. So if you have a look, one's got a nice 11mm hole, the other end's got a bit of a slotted 11mm hole. This is going to fit on like that. There you go. Lovely fit. We'll then paint pen. We've just paint penned the holes, as you can see here. We've took the foot back off. centre prop in there. Centre prop will give us a start for when we're drilling. Some of them are on a flat, some of them are on a bit of a radius. The drill bit will slip. You want a good centre prop mark in there just to get your drill bit started. So the next process now is we're going to get these four, well, we're going to drill from either side. Instead of trying to drill all the way through and end up like this, we're going to drill from either side so the 10mm bolt will go through nice and square and tighten up nice and evenly. So we're going to move on to the drilling process now. Right, for pilot hole these we've used a 2.5mm drill bit just to go through each face. And you'll see as well with this being double walled, so you've got your tube and then you've got this welded on sleeve. When the bolt goes through there, it's technically going through around about 9mm steel. Plus obviously the 3mm channel will bend up here. That itself is strong as an ox. We're going to open that up now with a 5mm, 7.5. and then take it up to 10.5mm to allow an M10 bolt to pass through nice and easy, but not with too much slop. Now you've completed your fantastic fabrication skill work, so everything's done, painted up, slot to the back. This should be a nice fit and just sit on like that. Same for the other side. Now this side is made a little bit on the wonky side of things. So when you come to slot that in, you'll notice that this leg is pushing in. Just get your hand and just give it a little squeeze, knock it up, and that's that. So what we're going to do now, pass the bolts through, washer on. That's going to go through there, just like that. Making sure you've got the washer on. That'll go on just like that. Now remember, notch to the front of the vehicle. Washer, lock nut on the inside. You'll know that because you've just took it to pieces. So we're just reassembling what we just took apart. Exact same process for the back. This one needs a little bit of gentle persuasion, I think. Like that. Now if you come round the front, Mr. Cameraman, you're going to see what I was talking about, this leg tapering out. Our plate's nice and square, so we're going to just jack this in, tighten everything up. That'll just keep everything nice and square. There's no worry in the frame. Once this is bolted together like this seat structure has become a more solid unit. So yeah, we're just going to tighten these up now. You just want to nip it up so there's no gaps in between your legs, no gaps in between there. Don't go too far, but you know where to stop basically. I mean, you don't want to start cross-threading things or making a mess of anything. Just make sure there's no gaps. That just nips in nice and neat, and then that'll be ready to reapply the plastics, which obviously we've took off. The process for that we went through in the video. What we're using is a T20 for the bolts that I'll point out that we've already taken off and put them back in. First thing to put back on is this, whatever it is, panel tray. 2 bolts either side, then 1 in the centre or off centre, and on the other side off centre. 2, 4, 6 bolts. That screws back on. The front bit, obviously that pulls off at the front and then lifts up. Bolt either side, same location on the other side. That all goes back on as standard. Modifications we're going to have to make now is the sides, because we have chopped the legs off to lower it to give you more headroom. What we're going to use is just a multi-tool. We're going to lock that off, and then we're going to guesstimate this line here. We're going to just chop that straight down there, and then when you come back, we should be all clipped on nice and neat. So this is just rough cutting because this is going to come off. So we're just going to get rid of this piece first. Just like that. We'll take that bit off as well. Just like that. Now we can see better. I'm going to take that line off, because when we get it on here, obviously that bit there clicks into there, that bit goes on the seat belt, that part goes in there, and if we come down here, you can sort of see here, that's where I want it to be. So just want to take a straight edge and take that off there. Yes, looks a bit rough, but that's the line engraved in. Now we're just going to lock that off, and hopefully it's somewhere near. We don't want too much of a gap, but we don't want to touch it neither. There's that piece off. Got to tidy this up now. Little fettle with a grinder, take that rough edge off, and then we'll see how it looks. So just sand and block, just take that rough edge off. Like that. Rocking it side to side just to take both sides off. Round there. Block clean it out. Look nice and neat. Finishing the van. Just use the angle grinder on this side. Bit of an easier cut. You haven't got the vibrations. So out the two, I prefer to use the angle grinder. Quicker, it's not bouncing around as much. But people feel more confident with one of them than an angle grinder. So, just gonna once again flatten that bottom off. Putting the plastics back on. Front one doesn't need any trimming. So same way as they come off. There's little clips on the bottom, but first thing is hooks on the top. So we'll just lift them up like that. There we go. Hook that on. That's it, clipped on. We have got 2 screws either side. Just like that. Right, the side panels, we've trimmed them down. All we've done is mocked them up, overhung this off the bench, excess marked up with a paint pen or a line, whatever way you want to do it. We've done it a quick way, by eye, so I'm confident with my eyes. But yeah, we just took that off with the angle grinder and the multi-tool just to see which one's the best one to use. I prefer the angle grinder. But reassembly, tab underneath here, locating tabs there. Just like that. It's all clipped in now. We have got another screw to put in here, which is hiding under there. So these sides aren't universal, so don't just rush into it and cut the same amount off either side. They're not the same. One has less to cut off. So this one hasn't got a tab on. Same process, so marked underneath what we need to take off. You want this to be sitting just above here, just so it doesn't catch anything. And that's that. That is your seat ready to go back on top of your swivel base. We're going to reapply the plastic washer, the retaining metal washer, M12 washer, and then the M12 nut. We'll move back into the vehicle when we've sat this back on, just tell you about tightening everything up, and that'll be it, finished. Right everyone, we have got the seat now sitting on top of the M12 threaded bolt. Plastic plate on, top retaining plate on, M12 washer, M12 lock nut. Right, this here is where it gets a little bit technical. You want to be tightening this down, but not too much, as all this is doing, retaining the swivel plate in that location. So what you want to be able to do is slide this easily, a bit like that, maybe a little bit more, just like that, a bit more for good luck. Right, that is that fitted. So it sits nice and low down. You can get a 6'4" person sitting on here with headroom. There is complaints in the past some swivels are higher. This one's not. We have took that 85mm off the legs to bring it down to compensate for obviously for the base plate coming up. And it's worked out very, very well that it is a little bit lower than it was from the factory. Right everyone, now you've got that M12 nut tightened down with a 19mm socket. I'm going to show you how this works. Like always, get the front seat or your driver's seat, pull forward, gives you a bit more room in here, because obviously that's not on a swivel, so if you get that pulled forward, gives you more room in the back of the van. Swivel will pull out nicely to there. Nice and easy, spins round and push back. Just like that. So that is the swivel in operation. Obviously to get it back out, clockwise back round, back in, and then you can put transit knobs back on, obviously ready for travelling. Make sure them all 4 of them are located and tightened down before you move off or travel anywhere. That is the Ford Transit 2025 double swivel by FWX Direct.